Hi everyone, Bada Bing here. Thank you for joining me on this monster of an unboxing video. This is an absolute unit. I've wanted one of these for so long, and now it's here. And I've already taken the liberty of taking it out of this cardboard box, just because it's a lot easier that way. So here it is. Oh yes, it's one of these. The Umrex licensed HK PSG-1 gas blowback sniper rifle. Made by VFC. Oh yeah. Okay, the PSG-1 itself, let's see what's in the box. Right, the box itself, it's quite sturdy. However, it's obviously a little bit sort of cheap, like the metal latches here. Yeah, they're just, yeah, it's positive and everything, but you can tell it's injection molded, you know, kind of. It's not a pelly case, put it that way, but hey, never mind. And there we go. Let's zoom out a little bit. Wow. Take it all in. Okay. Wow. This is a monster. And oh, the box is sliding out from underneath. Okay. PSG-1. Wow, that's a heavy beast. Okay. All right. I got a couple of magazines with it as well, some spare magazines on top of the one that you get with the rifle. So I completely cleaned out their supply of remaining G3 mags. So all those other guys that pre-ordered their PSG-1, sorry, but my need is greater. And what we got here? Okay, so it's just a warranty sort of thing. PSG-1, FPS, 415 FPS. Okay, alright, so with GBBRs and pistols, you have a 30-day warranty on this. So, okay, I'm going to try and do all my shooting within that 30 days, and if it breaks, then fantastic, I get to send it back. Okay, remind myself that this is VFC, so that's probably going to happen. Break within the first few shots. So along with the magazines, you got the basic Umrex type manual and a handy speed loader. I'm going to be breaking into this because manual's a manual. We all know how to use these things, right? Good. Let's just take the clothes off. Let's undress my PSG-1, shall we? This is where I need some porn music or something. Okay, that's heavy. It's my weak girl arms. Okay. Wow. Oh, great. Protective disc around the selector. Okay. Wow. Okay, let me actually just look through my own eyes rather than through the camera's viewfinder, shall we? Okay, that is first impressions. Right, whoa, first impressions indeed. This thing, yeah, it's heavy. There's no getting around it. It is a heavy beast. And there's the serial number. Wow, 007. Okay, that's perfect. I love it. The serial number alone. I spent £1,000 on this thing just for that serial number. Okay, I'm happy. Wow, I mean, the last PSG-1, probably like a lot of you, if you had experience with PSG-1, the Tokyo Marui PSG-1, for example. That thing was, yeah, it was, let's be honest, it was creaky as hell. You could shoot around corners with that thing, but on this one, you pick it up and it's just a brick. It is solid. And there's a tiny little bit of, there's a tiny little bit of movement on the foregrip, but I don't care. That's fine. I can live with that. Okay, if it wasn't for this plastic disc in the way, I suppose the selector switch would move a lot more freely. Charging action. That's quite a soft recoil spring on that one. So, all right, okay, let's just maneuver my body around this rifle, shall we, and perform an HK slap, just because we can. Oh yeah. I'm really not struggling with the weight too much. It's just the fact that this stock is about, what, 8.5, 9 miles wide. And this thing here, now in photos and stuff of the PSG-1, yeah, it doesn't look too bad, but that thing is massive. It's just in the way, and I don't like that at all. The grip, it looks like wood, but it is not wood. It is, yes, plastic. Yeah, a lot of websites were advertising this as plastic, as wood, but it is, yeah, it's definitely plastic. It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's still plastic. Never mind. Okay, trigger. What are we doing with the trigger? Okay. It's a bit light. No distinct wall. Okay, that's cool. So let's take a look at a magazine, shall we? Because this is my first experience with VFC G3s. Compared to the WE G3 magazine, this one, the details are a lot more well defined on here. You've got, that looks to be the bolt stop function. So I'm assuming that goes in the middle, and this one goes up, and you can set it to dry fire mode. There we go. Okay, that's on the dry fire mode, and okay, it goes back in the middle like that. And anyway, that's that. Now let's chuck it in the PSG. There we go. That's in place. A little bit annoying to get into place, but she's in there. The carry handle, or I should say the scope mount, yeah, it's cool. I mean, they give you the rail system on the top just so you can add your own optics, but it is based upon that Hensoldt PSG-1 style sight. Currently, there are no aftermarket companies making them, so there might be one or two popping up fairly soon now that the PSG-1 is out. But the only other one that, apart from the real deal Hensoldt, is the Tokyo Marui one. So yeah, I can't really deal with the looks of that. That's gonna have to change. Okay, let's zoom back out and see what we got. And there we are. Nah, still not quite doing it for me. Hang on. And here we go. The HK PSG-1 gas blowback sniper rifle with Hensoldt ZF 4x40 scope. Just kidding, it's the Tokyo Marui version. I would love to spend a lot of money on the real still optic, but they are pretty hard to find, and I think I would much prefer spending money on spare magazines and things like that for this rifle rather than blow all my budget just on the optic, even though it would be cool as hell to have the real one. I think the Tokyo Marui version does the job quite nicely. Now there's a couple of things with this sight. Number one, it doesn't have the rubber eyepiece which clips onto the back. Never mind, no big deal really, it didn't come with it, and to be honest, I can live without it. It just all depends on the sight itself, whether it's going to survive the recoil forces of the gas PSG-1 that's sitting beneath it. Who knows, I'll see how we get on, but I'm taking a little bit of a gamble. But I'm prepared for that, so let's see how we get on. The PSG-1 is currently being held by the Northeast Airsoft Recon tripod mount with the saddle, and it is a glorious piece of kit. Expensive. See, that's where my mindset is, but the budget, spare magazines, and something to hold the rifle with, because this thing is pretty heavy, and the maximum payload of this is 10 kilograms. So can hold on to a 5 kilo HK PSG-1 just fine. Anyway, first impressions. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. Starting from the tip, the inner barrel goes out to more or less right on the end of the muzzle right here. So you got all that barrel length. Cool. Okay, the colouring of the outer barrel itself is nothing special. It's a matte black finish. Yeah, it just doesn't really look as good as the rest of the rifle does. Underneath you got the caliber 6mm BB and the F markings. Yeah, they tried to cleverly disguise it underneath, but I saw what you were doing there. Moving back, we've got the front iron sight post, which is amazing. It's invisible. Likewise with the rear iron sight, that's completely invisible as well, so brilliant. The polymer foregrip feels really nice to hold. It reminds me a lot of like the early M16s, like the triangular foregrips. I really like those. They're really nice and comfortable in my hands. This one is a little bit more slender, a little bit more sleek than the M16 handguards, and yeah, it's actually quite a nice place for your hand to be. Underneath you got the rail slot there for the bipod, and they've also included the bipod attachment, so you can throw on your own like Harris bipod or whatever. The charging handle feels cheap, doesn't quite spring back into its resting position with any enthusiasm at all. It's just there. Drawing it back, as I said earlier, the recoil spring is a little bit on the softer side, so if you happen to be letting it go, you may not get a successful chambering. So further back, we've got the silent bolt closing device, or the forward assist. Now it is completely inert. It doesn't do anything at all apart from have a spring underneath it, so it's not going to engage on the serrations on the bolt carrier, just in case it's just out of battery. Yeah, it doesn't do anything at all, and that's probably a good thing, because the last thing you want to do is to try and close the bolt carrier to try and seat it all the way in case you have some broken BBs in there, or you got a jam or whatever. You don't really want to go forcing the bolt back into the chamber if you've got broken stuff in the way. So yeah, it's probably a good thing. Along the receiver itself, you've got the reinforcement steel bars that they weld onto the PSG-1s, just like the real thing as well. Stiffens up the receiver, eliminates all that flex. In the airsoft version, you don't need that at all. It's just there to complete the look of the PSG-1. The colour of the receiver itself has really got a nice flat black finish. It's got a really nice hue to it too. Now this is the European PSG-1. Now what does that mean? Well, basically, see these markings here? Yeah, that's all we're going to get. We've got the PSG-1 and the HK and the caliber markings stamped onto the receiver there. and the serial number is in there with, I think it's laser etched writing. The Asian version, they've got not only that, but they've actually stamped the serial number, I believe, into the receiver. Plus, they've got additional HK trademarks on the other side. On the other side of the receiver here, they've got the Made in West Germany and the US import markings. Now, on the other side of this rifle, it's completely blank. And the only other thing we have is on the other side of the receiver here is the Umarex information. And that's it. So on the EU version, yeah, that's all we're going to get. And that's sad. But saying that, I do love my 007 serial number. I think that's great. Now, if Timothy Dalton would have used this rifle in the Living Daylights, I think it would have been a lot better than the WA-2000. And I love that rifle, but yeah, he needed one of these, really. So here we have the lower receiver. After all these years of lusting after the PSG-1, being completely in love with it, seeing the Tokyo Marui version, seeing this rifle pop up in video games and in a couple of movies, it was only recently, and I say recently, about 8 months ago, when Forgotten Weapons uploaded the video of the PSG-1, I only then realised that it didn't have a paddle magazine release. Yeah, so as soon as I saw that video, I was like, oh damn, how did I not notice that? So you're going to have to come around here and use the button to remove the magazine, and that's great and everything. No, it's not great. But if you're trying to do things quickly on this rifle, it will purposely slow you down because the controls and things are just so massive. And the grip itself is the grip that it is. It's chunky, so trying to get your index finger on that magazine release button is not gonna, you're gonna have to, just like I did with MP5s, where I successfully evolved longer thumbs just so I can get on that switch a lot easier. I might have to do the same thing with this here and do some stretching exercises just to increase the length of my finger so I can activate. Oh, see, it's happening already. Boom. Obviously I won't be able to take out the magazine because of how I've mounted it. So let's just... Alright. The magazine is very stiff to get into place. He doesn't want to go in. That's what she said. I'm assuming that it's just going to bed in its own time, so, or just me trying to learn how it goes in properly. See that? My finger's starting to evolve already. And as well, I think the button sort of sits a bit further out of the receiver, so it kind of aids you in the activation. Now we get to the PSG-1 buttstock. This thing is solid and it's really well built. You've got the pin right here which you can use to unlock the cheek piece, and that springs up like that under spring tension, so you can have that fine adjustment for your preferred cheek weld, so you can have that wherever you want, adjust it into your heart's content. And once you've done that, you can lock it down and then it's fixed in place. Now with the buttstock, you can retract it and you just pull out this, which that's a heavy old piece of engineering right there. Take out that pin and install it into this hole in the stock right here, and then you unscrew it like that. So relieve the tension and you can then pull out the stock to your desired length. It's quite a neat idea. And once you've chosen the length to pull, lock it down, and that's it. And then pop this one back in its home. Or really, if I was using this in the field, I'd most likely put that in the box somewhere just so it won't get lost. And plus, you know, as I said earlier, it's a heavy piece of kit anyway, so try and lighten the load as much as you can. And then down here you've got the two
pinholes down here for these receiver pins, so they won't get lost. In typical HK fashion, you got somewhere to put the pin, so that's cool. So flipping the rifle over to the left side, you can use the takedown pin right here for the buttstock to set your adjustment for both the cheek piece and the butt plate right here. Below that you've got an old school sling mount. Yeah, it's very old school these days and not many people use those particular type of slings which thread through, but it's a relic of the 1970s, so there we go. The stock, really like the stock, it's nice and comfortable, but the only problem is, as I said earlier, you just got all that material there. So once you've got a stock that's like that, then you have this, so it's a little bit awkward to kind of pick up and manipulate. Not that you'd be doing much running around with this thing anyway, because it is the size that it is. It's not designed for mobility. I think they did it a little bit better with the MSG90. I think that one's a little bit more user friendly rather than this big old thing. I mean, see if you're shouldering it and doing your thing, and yeah, there's a lot of room around there to work your arms around. So yeah. The weight with the magazine and the scope, is it usable for like your average skirmisher? You probably get tired at some point. You won't be running around with this thing. You'd have to be pretty super fit to be using this in game because of the just the weight of it. Plus spare magazines on your person, yeah, that's gonna fatigue you after a while. The scope itself is extremely basic, just like the real thing really, only this one, I don't believe it has an illuminated reticle. I think what you see is what you get, and so what you get with the very basic crosshair arrangement is a very nice tactile and well-defined calibration on the adjustment turrets right here. So they adjust with really clean and crisp calibrations. If you were to get to the point where this rifle would be nice and accurate for you, and with the length of this barrel and everything, it's practically making the distance to the target there already, so you shouldn't really have any excuses. You should be hitting every single time. But once you have that BB going exactly where you want it, you can actually unscrew these caps and then rotate them and put them set to 0, and then you can do your fine-tuning as and when, depending on what kind of environment you find yourself in. Now the selector switch. It's not that flicky. It sticks quite a bit. It is positive, but it just feels like you're just grinding it into position. Whether that'll get any better with regular use, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But that's what we have to deal with. Now with the trigger, we've got the adjustable shoe on the bottom with the hex bolt at the back, so you can move it up or down depending on your personal preference. That's okay for me. It might want to come up just a smidge, just to be a bit more perhaps in the middle. I don't know, I might play around with it. With the trigger pull itself, it's got quite a lightweight pull. There we go. And coming back on the reset. Yeah, it's really definitive reset. That's not bad. Quite like that. Coming back, can't really feel a wall. It's just pulling and pulling. Come on, when they're going to break? When they're going to break? And there we go. You got quite a lot of room of operation right there. That operational window. Yeah, it's not bad. It's It's not exactly a match grade trigger. I think it just might be exactly the same as their VFC, as the standard G3A3. Yeah, it's not bad. It's okay. I'll see how we get on the review. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching this first impressions video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I certainly did. I finally got a gas blowback PSG-1 after all these years. Good job on VFC for actually making one. Now, let's see if it's any good. So a lot of you out there will be wondering, when is the review coming out? Well, the bad news is it's not going to be for a while. Sorry folks, it's just the way it is. I don't like to rush my reviews. I want to see the product at its best and at its worst, and then I'll relay that information over to you guys and you can see whether it's a worthy purchase or not. That's just how I roll, and a lot of you guys appreciate my honesty as well, so it'll be one to look forward to. So what do you think about the PSG-1? Is it something that you're going to buy? I wouldn't blame you if you say no, because it is an expensive rifle. However, it's definitely got the cool factor, so yeah, there is that. So now that I've got my foot in the door with this PSG-1, the VFC G3 as a base with the G3 magazines, do you think it's worth comparing the VFC to the WE G3 system? Or would that kind of be an invalid comparison because it's a PSG-1 and I've already got the G3A3 from WE? I'm not sure, but I don't know whether it's going to be worth it to invest in their G3 as well, because yeah, I'm not loaded over here. These things cost a lot of money, so what do you think? And let me know in the comments down below. Again, thank you very much for watching my first impressions on their gas blowback PSG-1. Take care guys, I'll see you in a bit.